everyone. I am Mike. That's Kyle.
Hello.
Sorry, Mike. I don't know what. I'm Mac. Sorry. Mike is the Star Wars guy. We're gonna break down our 8th annual Mouse Madness tournament. Welcome to our Selection Sunday show. I am really excited that we actually get to do this year. Usually we just kind of throw a bracket at you and start the tournament. But we're gonna actually talk about this whole tournament and break things down. We are doing this in conjunction with the 50th anniversary at Walt Disney World this year, and we're going to have a bracket to decide what is the best Walt Disney World Resort hotel, breaking it down into 4 regions: Magic Kingdom Resort area, Animal Kingdom Resort area, Disney's Hollywood Studios Resort area, and then an Epcot / Disney Springs region because it kind of gets weird over there.
It does, and I'd argue pretty close to each other.
Yeah. You could say anything in Disney Springs area is also Epcot. Basically, same thing. So, if you're not familiar with how this works, what we'll do is we create this tournament, and then on a daily basis, we will give you a new matchup to vote on. We'll put it up on Twitter, put a poll up on Twitter, and you can choose which one wins. And then throughout the month of March, we will eventually determine a winner for the best Walt Disney World Resort hotel. Last year, we did the best Disney television theme songs. And if I remember correctly, I believe the Muppet Show was the winner.
That sounds accurate. Yeah, we've done a lot over the years. I think the first one that I participated in, but this was, I think, before I worked for Laughing Place, was Disney sports movies, appropriately enough. We've also done the best Sherman Brothers songs. Trying to think of what else. But yeah, completely forgot about last year. But no, Muppets sounds like a good pick for that.
Yeah, I think it was Muppets and DuckTales in the finals. Personally, would have voted for DuckTales, but Muppet Show is a great choice too. So, but
I think it broke your heart when X-Men won out.
Yes, X-Men should have won that whole thing. But I'm talking about the animated series, by the way. Come on, that theme song is now stuck in your head. But let's get into this year's tournament, which again, Walt Disney World Resort hotels. Let's here's our blank bracket here. Before we get into it and start off by revealing the top seeds in each region, Kyle, what's your experience like overall with Walt Disney World hotels?
I have only stayed on property a couple of times. I've always had a cast member friend's couch I could stay on, or some other locals to save money. So I actually haven't spent a ton of time on property. I have hopped around, obviously the monorail loop, gone a bunch of those different hotels, been to restaurants at different places. It's a little bit harder to resort hop these days, so it's been a little disappointing. I want to go check out more of these places, but any time that I have spent time with them, it's fun to explore. The only 2 that I've stayed at personally, like stayed in a room, not just visited, is Art of Animation and Saratoga Springs. So both of those, I enjoyed my stay. I expect to likely see a couple of those on here. We'll see.
Yeah, I have far more experience being a local in here in Orlando, and but also just far more experience than I ever thought I would, for sure, having stayed in way more of these resorts than I expected. So I have a lot of experiences staying at them, but I also just park hopping is one of my favorite things, or resort hopping, I should say, is one of my favorite things to do. And you're right, it is a little bit more difficult to do it these days than it has been in the past, but still highly recommend checking out all of these Walt Disney World Resort hotels. Before we reveal the top seeds in each region, I want to bring up this comment from Doobie asking, is there any criteria I should be aware of before I get angry? Any resorts ineligible? Are Yacht and Beach Club combined? Both boardwalks. Okay, so yeah, there's no real criteria. This is up for your interpretation.
I think we'll have to see if we combine Yacht and Beach. I have a feeling that might have happened just because of how few slots there are, and the fact that we're splitting Epcot and Disney Springs in one region. I think the DVC villas would get lumped in with the primary resort.
Right.
So I don't think you're going to see any tree houses. I think those would be
right. Yeah. Anytime there's like one name for the resort, or it's like these rooms at whatever resort, it's all lumped in as one. Any
Like a
resorts?
Riverside and a French Quarter. I don't think we're gonna split those.
Right, exactly. Are any resorts ineligible? We did rule out like Swan and Dolphin. We are sticking specifically to Disney owned and operated. That we didn't include the Hilton at in like the Disney Springs Resort area or anything like that. So it is all Walt Disney World Resort hotels. So without further ado, let's get into our top seeds here. Well, the number one seeds from each region. And I know it's a little bit difficult to see here, but Magic Kingdom, we start off with Polynesian, Disney's Polynesian Village Resort. Any quarrel with that one?
I mean, I knew it was going to be a monorail loop resort. That's kind of what you're talking about when you talk about Magic Kingdom area. And I think the Polynesian is, a beloved, and for good reason.
Yeah, Poly is great. There's I no issue with that one for me. I mean, one of my favorites that I've stayed at, but that was there's some bias there because of the room we stayed in, and I'll get into that a little bit more later as we get further into the bracket. But Animal Kingdom, no surprise here. Animal Kingdom Lodge. I mean,
yep.
That's that. If you think of the Animal Kingdom Resort area, which I was surprised there was more than one hotel listed on the Disney site. Oh, that's another thing we should mention too. This is officially from the Walt Disney World site. So if you sort by park resort area, you'll find these in the respective regions they are in.
And some overlap. Like I was surprised that there were some that if you searched Hollywood Studios or Epcot, they showed up in both places. But these aren't wrong.
Right.
It's not
exactly.
in some area.
Over at the Hollywood Studios region, the top seed is the newest Walt Disney World Resort Hotel, Riviera. Another one of my favorites. Absolutely love Riviera. And then
this is the one I keep meaning to go over to and haven't had a chance for various reasons.
Well, you missed out on our Skyliner bar crawl over the summer.
Apparently, yeah. I had to go into the park and ride Rise of the Resistance for only my second time ever. So, woe is me.
That's fair. And then finally, Epcot Disney Springs area, we've got Boardwalk taking the top seed there. So I know we both love Boardwalk for sure, and we'll see what else is that in that region there going up against obviously one of our favorites.
Yeah. It's strong, good location. I have fond memories because of personal reasons, my wife working there, and just announced some refurbs, some changes there. So I think that could give it a little extra juice as well.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of comments before we get into the specific regions. Rebecca says, "I'm excited to see how this plays out. I've stayed at all but Polynesian." Is that of the top 4 you've stayed at all but Polynesian, or are you saying like all of them? Because that's really impressive if that's
Has she stayed at Shades of Green? And where would Shades of Green fall in this?
Yeah, Shades of Green, I will spoil this for you, not in the bracket. Did not make the cut. Doobie has some feelings on our top seed in the Magic Kingdom region. Polynesian.
I think he might be talking about Chick-fil-A sauces, actually.
Don't let Jess hear you say that because that's her favorite. So.
Oh no, I like Polynesian too. I'm just saying, like.
Rebecca says absolutely love or adore Animal Kingdom Lodge. Sitting on the porch in the middle of the night watching zebras graze. Yeah,
and great dining over there. I mean, we're including Kidani Village, so you got Sanaa, which is one of the more adventurous places I've eaten. Although I don't know if you could call bread service and butter chicken adventurous by any means. But It was at the time, looking at the menu.
And so my favorite comment so far, by the way, my dad is wrong, says Gideon. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the dining because that is another factor to think about when you're ranking these hotels. Dining, location, the room, the theme, the design, everything, kind of comes into play here. So let's jump into and take a closer look at the Magic Kingdom region here. Again, Polynesian, the top seed here. And we, lots of reasons this is, it's a classic. When you think of Walt Disney World Resort hotels, it's one of the first that comes to mind for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. And right there on the water, that's one of the places everyone wants to walk. And you have the sand, seeing the ferry boats cross. I've had some beautiful mornings. I've enjoyed I've actually been over there before the sunrise. Had some Mickey waffles over at Captain Cook's, and then just watch the beauty.
Yeah, and then the convenience of having, the ferry boats right there. You have your own personal boats from the resort to Magic Kingdom, and as well as the other resorts on the monorail loop, which obviously, again, the monorail even adds more convenience. Plus Dole Whips. I mean, you can't
And
get Dole Whips.
Olumel. I should have brought my Olumel out here.
Oh yeah, there you go. You got Olumel over at Polynesian too. So
Ohana. People love Ohana and their noodles.
Yes, Ohana noodles are the best. Doobie says it's old. I think they've done a really great job. Yeah, classic is another word for that. Which Doobie, come on, you have to.
This is what I say to that.
But yeah, I definitely love Poly. Let's see what it's matched up with in the first round here, and it is another classic, the Contemporary.
I think 4th seed is pretty surprising for this one because, it might not be the most exciting theme on the monorail loop, but I mean, talk about location. You really can't beat it. Being able to walk over to Magic Kingdom is, I know, game changing. And I lied. I've stayed at Bay Lake Tower. I completely forgot about that.
I've also stayed at Bay Lake Tower, have not stayed in Contemporary proper. But yeah, you're right. That short walk over to Magic Kingdom, though I will say you can now also walk from Poly and from Grand Floridian. So
it's not quite the same distance, though. It's having this right across the street and having that established cred as being the one that you can walk right across the street and have your own security entrance over there. I think that's a big factor. But I understand why it's 4th seed when we get to some of the other ones.
Yeah.
But a little underrated.
This is definitely the toughest region to choose from. Like they're all 4 of the hotels in this are so great for so many different reasons. One other thing I want to say about Contemporary, a recent addition, Steakhouse 71, is one of my favorite restaurants on property. It is so good. It's a little bit pricey, but it's so worth it. It's fantastic. So let's see what the other matchup in this region is. We'll start off with the 2 seed in this region is Grand Floridian. I know. I wish we could cut to Doobie cheering with the college teams when they find out that they've made the tournament, because I can just see that is what's happening. I know Grand Floridian is his personal favorite. Grand Flo is great. I mean, you don't have to make an argument for it, right? Like this is another one. When you think of Walt Disney World hotels, this is one that comes to mind.
I completely agree. I think if there's anything holding it back, it's the perceived stuffiness, maybe cliche almost. But obviously it's got a lot going for it. As you mentioned, you can now walk from it. I've done that walk and it is beautiful. And, it's a classic for a reason, but I feel like if there's anything holding it back, it's just people thinking that that's where all the snooty people stay, except for now that it's Star Cruiser. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Stuffiness is not what I think of when I think of Star Cruiser, but
but rich people is what you think.
Right. Yeah. No, but you're absolutely right. When I first, moved down here and started resort hopping, every time I went to Grand Flo, I was walking in the lobby thinking, I don't belong here. Like I shouldn't be wearing a t-shirt and shorts walking this lobby. I've become a lot more comfortable with it with the hundreds of times I've been there now. But it's fantastic. This lobby is one of my favorites. It's grand is the perfect word to describe it. So,
but I do hear Kokomo in my head whenever I walk by it. So that's kind of weird. Doesn't really fit the theme.
Right.
But that's there.
You also have Victorian Alberts. I've never eaten there personally, but I mean, nope. That is the top of the top as far as restaurants are concerned.
I feel we should do that sometime. Then you can eat all the stuff that I refuse to eat.
Listen, if you're doubling my menu at Victorian Alberts, yeah, I'm not going to complain.
I think we should make that happen for some special occasion.
Yeah, I'm not opposed. But yeah, Grand Flo is fantastic. The 2 seed in the Magic Kingdom region. And let's see, I think we know what it's going up against at this point. It is Wilderness Lodge. And this is where you would see me jumping up and down cheering. This is my personal favorite Walt Disney World Resort hotel. It is the theming is off the charts. That the lobby is my absolute favorite. This pool area, everything about this resort is just absolutely beautiful. I've stayed here a couple of times and I have a 3rd stay on the books later this year. So I can't wait.
I'm ashamed to say I haven't spent a ton of time here, but this photo is doing a lot of heavy lifting for your argument. So we get a ton of nice feedback from people in the
Yeah.
stands.
Yeah. First of all, I got to go back to Doobie's comment regarding Grand Floridian. I don't belong. That's why he loves it.
And the
He said he
stuffiness is a
was
plus. I like that comment as
right.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. Gideon says my win. I guess that for Wilderness, if that's the case, then we're on the same page. Oh, Rebecca brings up. Actually, Rebecca and Doobie both bring up tiniest rooms. It's hard. It's hard because my experience, the first room I stayed in was one of the Copper Creek cabins. So tough to debate there. But no, I have stayed in a one or a deluxe studio, I believe was our last one, and loved it. I didn't have any issue with the size of the room or anything like that. But I guess the standard rooms would probably be a little bit different too. And then yeah, like I said, Doobie mentioned tiny rooms, tiny hotel, otherwise good. Tiny hotel, that one I don't know that I agree with. There's a lot of walking involved at Wilderness, depending on where you're staying. But yeah, so there's our final. Oh, that's our final Magic Kingdom region there. I mean, we're gonna get into our brackets a little bit later, but I mean, I think I gave away Wilderness is my favorite in this region for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it'd be between the 1 and the 4 seed.
Yeah, that's interesting because yeah, contemporary, like we said, that is the fact that that's a 4, that could be a 1 or a 2 in a lot of the other regions.
I'm going with the OGs.
Okay, so let's move on to the Animal Kingdom region.
Obviously, yes, again, amazingly, there are other hotels in this area.
Yeah, well, a little peek behind the curtain as we were deciding how to handle breaking these down.
Should have just called it the Osceola.
Yeah, I didn't think that there were any other, Animal Kingdom resort area hotels. And then when I looked at the Disney site, I said, oh, this is perfect. Like we can actually break this down into these park regions. But Animal Kingdom Lodge, it's the namesake of the region. It's fantastic. You haven't stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge, but you have visited, correct?
I have visited, yes. And, okay, even just doing that, you get to kind of get a sense for what it's like to stay there, being able to have those animals right outside of your window or your door or whatever. It's a wonderful experience from when I've been there, and I've enjoyed, dining. Like we were talking about the dining, just eating your meal and having the animals scurry in the background. Much better than like being at an aquarium eating fish. I don't. There's not like connection between the animals you're looking at and the ones you're eating. So I think that's also a plus.
Right. Yeah, little known fact, zebra domes contain no zebra, so you're safe there. And that Sanaa bread service and those zebra domes, that's all I need. I could live off of that alone for a week. Yeah, some of the best food on property for sure. And that having the Savannah view, I don't think, Animal Kingdom Lodge isn't my favorite hotel, but I don't think there's a singular in-room experience better than that on Disney property. That those Savannah views are just amazing.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But let's see what is going up against Animal Kingdom Lodge. The number 4 seed in the Animal Kingdom region is going to be our first ever play-in game. We have 5 hotels in this region. It was really hard to knock one of the All-Stars out, so we decided to include them. So you've got All-Star Music or All-Star Movies, and we're going to have a poll up today for you to decide who takes the last spot in this bracket here. I feel like All-Star Resort Hotel, these are the most popular in terms of, most people have visited these at some point.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, the Value Resort, it gets disrespected, but it serves a very real purpose. If I was going to give the edge to one of these 2 resorts, I think I'd have to go Movies just because it's a little bit more of an obvious Disney connection, like you see here. But I don't know. It could go either way. I have no frame of reference to know which is which is better.
Yeah, actually, All-Star Movies is the only one that I haven't stayed at. But I do think I agree. I like the theming a little bit more. It's between the two of us. You're the music guy, so I would have thought you would have had given the edge to music. But
Well, it's kind of like our crowdsource things during the DTL. You have to kind of go with what you think the other people
true.
are going to go with, and yeah, I mean, if they were going to actually, I don't know what to expect from All Star Music. I imagine it's probably not as exciting as that theme sounds.
Yeah, I mean,
That's kind of
they
fun.
all follow the same kind of the same kind of idea. It's this very, what's the nice word I can I can give for
Well,
it?
they're motel style, first of all, and I'd say
Yeah,
that they all remind me of like if if you showed me this, I'd be hard pressed if you were like, is this Pop Century or All Stars?
sure.
And I would have to probably think about it because you're like, okay, it's the 50s era, so it kind of fits into pop.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes sense. Yeah, I agree too. I think I give a slight edge to movies. I like both of them, and I enjoyed my stay at All Star Music, and then the other one, which we'll talk about later. But I'm really interested to see which one of these is chosen because it's kind of like flipping a coin for most people, I think. But do we think the winner of this play-in has any chance against Animal Kingdom Lodge?
yeah, I mean that it's kind of moot, but whatever, it's fun.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the 2 seed in the Animal Kingdom region, and that is going to be Coronado Springs Resort, and that is due in large part, for me at least, due to Grandistino Tower, the new tower there at Coronado, which opened just maybe 3 years ago at this point, probably more like 2 years, something
I
like
don't
that.
remember because I just confuse it with Riviera. I couldn't tell you which is which most of the time
Yeah,
because they open around similar times.
yeah. Um, I absolutely love Grandistino. Coronado, I think before Grandistino, and if we were to make this region, give it the seeds that we have, I think this might have been in contention for the 4th seed that I would consider some of the all stars over. But Grandistino is unbelievable. The Three Bridges restaurant is fantastic as well. So a few really nice additions to this resort have made it. It's at the top of my list now for hotels that I have not yet stayed at. I want to go back and get a couple.
Don't share doobies.
Yeah, no, I no. A couple of comments. I will share one of Doobie's, not the one that you're talking about. But as far as Animal Kingdom Lodge goes, parking lot view, biggest disappointment. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. If you're going to stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge, highly recommend. Make sure you get the Savannah view. Rebecca says, if this comment wants to come up, no, there we go. All Star Movies has Sorcerer Mickey pool, while music has the Three Caballeros pool. So that's interesting. That's a good way to look at it. Which one do you like more there? Pools are another factor to consider too, because if you're enjoying the resort, the pool is probably one of the amenities that you're going to take part in at some point. Doobie says Coronado is awesome even without the tower. Huge, beautiful to walk around, awesome pool area. I haven't gotten to experience the pool area here because, again, I haven't stayed here. It's the top of my list for the hotels I want to stay at now. But I do agree it's an absolutely beautiful resort to just walk around. Also says great food compared to other food court compared to the other moderates. I haven't actually eaten there. I've eaten in Grandistino, but not in Coronado proper. And then Rebecca says great size rooms, fun pool with water slide and a door. Is it Rick's Grill? I think I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce it, but I've been going with Rick's.
Maybe
And
it's the RX Grill. Never mind.
What is it?
Nothing.
Okay. I have heard really good things about that, though. I do want to go there at some point. So you haven't visited Coronado?
I haven't. Definitely want to.
Yeah, I'm blanking on is it Dahlia Lounge? I'm not sure if that's the one on the bottom or at the top because they have a bar at both. And the one on the rooftop gives you a great view into Hollywood Studios, which is confusing as to why this is considered an Animal Kingdom resort area hotel. But here it is, our 2 seed in the Animal Kingdom region. And it'll be going up against All Star Sports. So we talked about movies and music, but All Star Sports, we figured we'd give it that bye because, well, this is our March Madness, tie-in here. So,
yeah, I mean, it's fair. I
yeah,
wonder, I'm curious how it would have performed if it did have to hold its own, but I think giving it the bye is the right move.
yeah, I agree. It is actually also my favorite of the three All-Stars too.
Shocking.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the sports guy here, but yeah, no, I one of my first memories of Walt Disney World is staying at All Star Sports too. So I have that emotional connection to it. But yeah, I like it. How do you feel? Is this your favorite of the All Stars, or do you have a
I
different
mean,
one?
having not been there, this photo actually does look pretty cool. And Doobie
Mhm.
also makes a good point about the foosball. That sounds fun as well.
Yeah, there's also
This
the
is the one
Mighty
that
Ducks
this was like
area.
the last one to open, right?
Oh, that I don't know. I don't
The
remember going.
reopen, I mean. Sorry,
Oh
after.
yes, reopen. Yes, yeah, I believe it actually is still closed right now, but reopening soon.
Hmm.
If I might be wrong about that, but I think that's the case. So yeah, this is the 3 seed in the region here. So our final matchups in the Animal Kingdom region: Animal Kingdom Lodge against the play-in winner between the other two All Stars, and then we've got Coronado against All Star Sports. Doobie makes a good point about Coronado. Great View is what almost puts it in contention to win the region. Um, I think I would probably go chalk here and say Animal Kingdom Lodge pulls it off.
Yeah, I think this is another one of those where if everyone who was voting had the opportunity to stay at all these places, it might work out differently. But just based on what people do know about these resorts, I think Animal Kingdom Lodge has a huge advantage.
Yeah, I will say don't sleep on the All Stars though. Like I said, a lot of people have stayed at All Star, and that might be their only experience with any of the Disney Resort hotels. So that might steal some votes and really mix things up on us. Doobie wanted to correct himself. It's foosball is at the Pop Century resort, which we might talk
See,
about.
I go to him for information. I make an example of him, be like, "Great point, Doobie," and then he lets me down like this.
All right, let's move on to our next region here, and that is going to be the Hollywood Studios Resort area, and that top seed there is Riviera, again the newest Disney World Resort hotel.
This is where we
Uh,
start. The Skyliner starts to become a factor.
yeah, absolutely. And the nice thing about it, to help your decision making a little bit, all of the hotels in this region have the Skyliner factor, so kind of eases that a little bit. When we get to the Final Four, maybe that changes
Yeah,
things. Yeah, actually, Doobie has a good point. We should have just called this the Skyliner region, maybe.
yeah, but then I think some of our Epcot ones would feel a little left out by that.
That's true. Yeah, there are other. Actually, yeah, it wouldn't even be the Final Four where the Skyliner comes into play. It would have to be in the finals, really. But so Riviera, the top seed. Again, I mean, you talked about confusing this with Grandistino Tower, so obviously you're not super familiar with Riviera, but
Nope, this is the one I want to go to. I want to go to Bar Riva, and logistically, it just hasn't worked out for me.
Bar Riva was one of the stops on that Skyliner bar crawl we did, which
I
I
do
think
like.
only had 2 stops. So
The only thing holding it back is the fact that it looks like a Red Robin logo,
that's fair, but also Yum.
or
So
also Rescue Rangers. But
true, true.
I think Red Robin.
Fair. Riviera really surprised us on our last stay here. We, funny enough, we were supposed to be staying at Wilderness Lodge, and then we got a call that day saying they were overbooked at Wilderness Lodge and had to move us to Riviera, which we were at first a little disappointed about, but we're then really excited to stay at this new hotel and absolutely loved it. The convenience of it, the way that it's like this. First of all, it's much smaller than most of the Disney resorts. It's all very contained, and it's just kind of surrounds this courtyard and gives you this real like community feel. Where you get the pool down in front of you, and then there's like the bocce court. There's giant chests. There's all sorts of games and stuff. There's like it's very lively out in that courtyard. So it's really fun to have a room. We were lucky enough to have a room overlooking that, which also gave us a great view of the Skyliner and the sunset, which was really nice. So convenience, just taking the elevator down, you got Bar Riva right there, which is fantastic. Prima Piatto is their quick service sort of food court kind of thing. All the food is really, really great. I highly recommend Riviera. Doobie gives you some props for the Red Robin.
I feel like for the rest of the stream, anytime we say Skyliner, we'll need to like wave our arms like Pee Wee's Playhouse or something.
We need a clip of Doobie doing that to play as that happens. One other thing I wanted to mention about Riviera too is those mosaics as you are walking towards the buzzword Skyliner. As you're walking through that tunnel, those incredible mosaics of the Peter Pan, Neverland and London skylines, and then you have the Tangled one as well. Just absolutely incredible. Every time I'm there, it blows my mind. I try to get as close as possible and see like how did they take these little pieces and create this. It baffles. I don't understand how people can do that.
Well, I very much look forward to checking it out. Like this is high on my list, so I understand why it's so high on the in the brackets.
Yeah. And let's see what it's going up against with the number 1 seed in Hollywood Studios going up against the 4, which is Pop Century, as Doobie alluded to earlier with the foosball. I have not stayed at Pop Century. Have you?
I have not stayed at it, but I've walked around a decent amount.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pop Century is one of those that I've managed to get lost at. It's very, very spread out and very big, but also just a really fun walk. Like it's all this really fun. Obviously, giant Roger Rabbit is interesting to see. So lots of really cool stuff to see as you walk around this resort. Also, the lobby and just going through the decades and seeing all of the stuff that they have on the walls is just a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I mean that lake that they have there right by the Skyliner, also really nice. And you can walk over to another resort that might just make this bracket as well.
Yeah, Hourglass Lake, I believe, if I'm getting my Disney lakes right.
You are correct.
This Doobie says Pop Century is greater than All Stars. I would agree there. I do like Pop Century. It's tough to be the 4 seed in this going up against Riviera, but again, this is a pretty tough region. It's honestly, it's hard to say negative things about any of the Disney hotels. So
yeah. Again, and it's hard to say what people are going to be voting for. If it's the one that they have the experience with, it could be Pop Century.
And that could be a real detriment to Riviera, which a lot of people aren't going to have experience with.
Exactly.
So we'll see. This could be a really interesting 1-4 matchup here. As for the other matchup in this region, we've got the 2 seed going to Art of Animation, that other hotel that you can walk to from Pop Century.
Yep, and this is the one that I've stayed at. We stayed in the Little Mermaid area, and I enjoyed the food court. I liked being able to walk over to the Skyliner and a little bit to Pop, and just even walking around through the different areas. I think that this is the Finding Nemo area. They also have Cars, which is just okay, and Lion King. So it's I feel like I think it's still considered a value, at least most of it, right?
I'm not sure how those break down anymore because
okay,
they've recently changed it.
Yeah, well, it's at least on the budget side, and I feel like it gets a lot of respect at the end of that. Like if you compare it to All Stars, I think this one is the one that people are like, okay, well that's okay, and I don't see a ton of difference, honestly. Maybe just because it's shinier and newer, and it's more Disney, but I don't know. I think this is a one that could do well because of the good reputation it has.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is a very popular one.
I think grading on a rubric, I think it does really well.
Right. The rubric that we did not bother to come up with.
No.
Evil Queen brings up a good point here. Pop Century has its own bus route where all the All-Stars share buses. Convenience of travel is definitely something to take into account when you're talking about your favorite resort hotels. I showed the big blue pool as the image here for Art of Animation because it is one of the the biggest features of this hotel, and Evil Queen agrees with me here. But Doobie points out animation has speakers underwater. It's also the biggest pool on property, so I think that's still the case. I don't think any bigger pools have been added anytime recently. So, but yeah, the big blue pool was absolutely awesome. I think you mentioned comparing it to Pop Century. Pop Century has the motel style where the rooms take you, the doors facing outside. That's not always the case in Art of Animation. I stayed in one of the family suites in the Nemo section, which was really great. There's that difference there.
Yeah, I think the Little Mermaid ones are still the motel style. In fact, I know they are because I stayed there. But
Yeah, I think Nemo might be the only one that's not actually, because I feel like
I
Cars might
forget.
be
I
as
feel like
well.
there is a hierarchy to them. I
Yeah.
just couldn't tell you all what it is offhand.
Well, I know there are the family suites in Nemo, which are absolutely fantastic. If you're going with a somewhat big group, you don't want to go too big, but that's a great way to go for sure. And then Dewey points out the table becomes a bed.
That's a
Sometimes it's
table
the
bed.
little
That's pretty cool.
thing. um, I got to bring up this comment from Rebecca.
I did
Every
that as
morning,
well.
Ursula's enormous behind.
And every time I walk by the pool, I'd have to sing "In the Big Blue Pool."
um, Dewey says, if you like IP, animation is awesome. How detailed each section is. If you like IP, so we're calling this Pixar's Art of Animation Resort, right? I think that's the rules. That's how that works. Yeah, and Evil Queen confirms the family suites are interior corridors. So let's see what Art of Animation is going up against in the first round here, and that will be Caribbean Beach, another one right there with the Skyliner, super convenient, and walking distance from Riviera. So you kind of share the amenities of those two resorts, which is really great.
And
I
you have
will
the
say,
advantage. I mean, the Skyliner advantage kind of gets well, it shares it with Riviera, but this is the hub for the
yeah,
Skyliner, so you
that's
have a
true.
little bit even extra convenience because you're just going to be doing the last part of the.
Right. Yeah, you have that switch there. You can pretty much choose wherever you want to go. I will say choosing an image for Caribbean Beach was a little bit more difficult because they recently remodeled their lobby, and so all of the images on the Disney website are still concept art for that. I'm surprised they have
Oh,
not given us actual images. So I chose their pool, which is a pretty cool pool area.
this
I
actually
walked.
reminds me a lot of Bonnet Creek, the place we stay at. The
Oh,
Wyndham,
okay.
it has kind of this similar theming.
Gotcha. Yeah, I never got to see that, so that's pretty cool. It's a fun little area. I haven't actually stayed at Caribbean Beach, so I haven't gotten to experience it for myself. I wish I could have shared images of Sebastian's Bistro and Cabana or Banana Cabana, the bar and restaurant out there at Caribbean Beach. I haven't eaten at Sebastian's. I know Doobie says it's fantastic, so that is high on my list for where I want to go eat at some point. I think it was Doobie. I think it was Doobie that said he really liked Sebastian.
You only talked to like 3 people, so I'm sure it's
That's a good
yeah,
point. Yeah.
good, good. The odds are well good.
If it wasn't you that recommended it, it was probably Doobie then. So yeah, I definitely want to. Yeah, here we go. Sebastian's was the best experience we had on our last trip, and we did many. So there you go. Caribbean Beach again, not one that I've stayed at, and not exactly at the top of my list for ones that I want to stay at. So it's a little bit lower on my list here. I'd be interested to see how this one does.
Yeah, I think we keep talking about the Skyliner, but I think that's a huge factor now. I think that was a big plus to this resort.
Yeah, definitely. But does it give it an advantage over Art of
I
Animation?
think having that hub status, I think it actually does, honestly.
Maybe. And Art of Animation, the station they do share with Pop Century, so there's that.
Yeah, and then you have to get off at Caribbean Beach to go wherever you want to go.
Sure.
So I
Yeah.
think being able to hop onto DHS or hop onto Epcot, I think is a plus.
Oh, Doobie throwing this out there. Caribbean Beach has a lot of diehards like Polly. We'll see. Maybe it's a sleeper here. Of this region here, what do you like? Riviera. I mean, it's one of my favorites. So
Yeah, it's hard. I think that pop or animation. I think animation is probably the I'll have to see what I did for my bracket. But I think art of animation probably has the most interesting potential, I'll say.
yeah, I would agree with that. I think a lot of people are gonna really get behind Art of Animation. So we'll see. But we'll move into our final region here, the Epcot / Disney Springs area, where we said Boardwalk is our number one seed here. We both absolutely love Boardwalk and have these emotional attachments to it. So tell me a little bit about your experience with Boardwalk.
Well, like I said, my wife worked at the Boardwalk Bakery, which is now going to be changing or going away, which is sad.
Yeah.
But we're both from New Jersey, so the Atlantic City theming is, also tugs at the heartstrings. But I think it's just a really underrated area. I don't think people realize that how much is actually on the boardwalk.
Yeah.
And I'm a person who I enjoy walking, and so I've just strolled through here a lot of times, just going from Epcot to Hollywood Studios to Park Hop, kind of forgoing the other options to make a point to walk around here. And so, yeah, I think it looks great. I love the lake there, and there's entertainment and great food. And like I said, great location. Like you're right next to the entrance for Epcot, and you can walk to the other one.
Yeah, the super convenient short walk to Epcot. Probably even shorter than like the contemporary to Magic Kingdom walk, maybe depending on where you're at hotel. But yeah, it's a super convenient one.
But you're close to all that stuff, Doobie, so it totally counts. Wow. I didn't say it was part of.
I would also argue that that is not true, because as someone, like you said, we're from New Jersey, and this was, we moved down here. Obviously, there was a little bit of homesickness in the early going, and getting over to Boardwalk and seeing that Jersey Shore sort of, that theming, and Lucy the elephant up over the fireplace, and all of even the smell of it is perfect. It really it really hit home for me. So it instantly became one of our favorites after we moved down here, and we've stayed a couple of times since and absolutely love it. Having the view over that lake and getting to see, Epcot's fireworks from there is just absolutely incredible. Yeah, and the whole resort area is just fantastic. That's something to take into account. Obviously, it's on, it's a factor for another hotel in this region that we'll talk about. But I will say, as far as Boardwalk itself, and even the surrounding restaurants like right near it, not my favorite as far as dining goes. There's some good options, but there are better ones, I think. So that is something that comes into play for me a little bit here.
Doobie is still arguing with us. I don't think you're trying to say with this photo that Jelly Rolls is part of the hotel. I think we're just saying that this is the area where the hotel is, and so that's a plus being so close to all these other things. We're not saying that.
Right. And yeah, you're close to Magic. Yeah, we talked about Magic Kingdom being that close as an advantage for contemporary, but being close to Epcot is an advantage for Boardwalk too. Gideon brings up the clown slide, which is no longer there. It is now the Keister coaster with the
but if you want creepy things, we do still have those weird flower child.
Oh yeah, I should have gotten an image of those nightmare chairs by the fireplace in the lobby. I'm really interested because there are, like you said, there are some changes coming to Boardwalk, and they're going to make some adjustments to the lobby. Curious to see if those make the cut, because I'd be also, if they did leave, I'd be really interested to see what the reaction would be on Twitter about that.
We'll hopefully be there. We'll have to have Jeremiah. That's his new beat, is seeing if those chairs remain.
Dewey says Trattoria as the best breakfast. I have not eaten breakfast there, so that's, add it to my list. Let's see what Boardwalk is going to go up against. This is, again, the top seed in the Epcot region, going up against Saratoga Springs, which, again, Epcot / Disney Springs. This is technically Disney Springs resort area, but close enough to Epcot as well. So I know we both stayed at Saratoga Springs. Tell me a little bit about your experience there.
So I had a pleasant experience there. This was the first time I'd ever actually stayed on property, was at Saratoga Springs. And I stayed at Congress Park. And so that was very convenient for walking over to Disney Springs. I was by myself, so this was a bit of like a business trip. So I'd be working during the day. So being able to like mobile order Earl of Sandwich and then just walk over and pick it up and come back to my hotel room was really convenient. And I thought it was kind of underrated. It's not one that I hear people talk that much about, but I think it has some really nice features. It's a really big resort. If you have this like nice long bridge across this little pond or lake that they have there.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of where, when we were talking and comparing experiences, me being like, oh, it's right next to Disney Springs, is a lot different if you're staying on the other side of the resort. You could still walk to it, but it's going to be a lot longer.
And that's exactly where my experience comes in, because my stay was on the opposite side of the resort, where walking to, it would have been quicker to drive to Disney Springs than it would have been to walk. It would have been a solid 40-minute walk, I think, going around. But I really liked that walkway you have along the water there, looking across to Disney Springs. You get a really, really great view there. Aside from that, I think Saratoga is pretty low on my list. Of all the hotels I stayed at, this is maybe at the bottom. I'd have to reassess a little bit with like some of the all-stars and stuff like that. But and don't hear what I'm not saying. I don't dislike it. I think it is a great resort. I think it does. It definitely comes into play where you get like where your room is. Definitely makes a big change. You still have all the amenities. There's multiple pools. You have the sports courts and things like that. So you still have all of that. And again, in the right spot, Disney Springs is walking distance. So that is nice.
Yeah. And also kind of going to what Evil Queen was talking a little bit about earlier. This is because it's so big. It's also one of those, if you're trying to take the bus back from the resorts, you might have to wait a few stops, which is a little annoying.
Yeah, that is a factor too. But then as Doobie and Rebecca both say, they have the boat access, which is not speedy, but so relaxing. Yeah, I did take a boat from Saratoga, but I actually took one over to Port Orleans and Old Key West in there just for resort hopping purposes. And that I absolutely love taking the boats over there. It's so nice. So that is a plus as well. I will say the one that Saratoga getting in kept Old Key West out, and that is that's my snub for this bracket here. Old Key West, I think, just has a slight edge over Saratoga, and that's just coming from Olivia's, the restaurant, which has maybe the best fried chicken I've ever had in my life. And
even better than Homecoming?
I mean, it's right there. I would probably give a slight edge to Homecoming, but they're both so good. As Doogie says, Old Key West. Yeah, Saratoga is not really any newer. But
I've never even been over to Old Key West. It's kind of one that I forget exists. Although I'm pretty sure I know someone who's a DVC owner there. So,
and the rooms, I stayed in the 1-bedroom villa over there, and it is, having stayed at, that was our room of choice. I guess not even really choice, is what we were given. We were staying in one bedroom DVC villas across a bunch of different resorts, and the room at Old Key West was almost double the size of any other room. And it felt the most homey to us. Like it felt like we were at home staying there. And our view was looking right out onto a golf course, which was beautiful as well. So really like that. But Saratoga gets the edge over Old Key West and gets the 4th seed in the Epcot region. And let's see, the other matchup here, the 2 seed goes to Port Orleans, which has, I think, the big advantage of feeling both like that fun, playful Disney hotel and the, grand, really like stunning resort when you got French Quarter and Riverside. Definitely.
I mean, I've been to both. I've had beignets there on Mardi Gras, and they have the chicory coffee. So I think there's a lot of fun entertainment there. Nice, again, great place to walk in between the 2 resorts, and the food options. I mean, there's beignets everywhere.
Yeah,
that's a win.
I've had beignets at Port Orleans, and I've had boozy beignets at Port Orleans, because that's a thing you can do.
Yeah, with the 3 different like little injections. Yeah. I haven't had them personally, but my friends have and enjoyed them.
Yeah, they were pretty good. Sassagoula Float Works over in French Quarter is maybe my favorite quick service restaurant in any Disney hotel. Absolutely love that. Yeah, we got a couple shout outs here for Yeehaw Bob as well. Obviously a Disney World staple. So have you stayed at Port Orleans or at all?
I haven't stayed there, but I have been there for, we went to go, I think it was the Scat Cat Lounge, and saw some music, ate some beignets.
Yeah, I haven't stayed here either, and Riverside, more so than French Quarter, is near the top of my list for sure. But I would also love to stay at French Quarter. I think that whole area is just a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, this is a really, again, having that advantage of having both sides of these types of resorts, definitely includes a lot of people and might see a lot of votes. We'll see.
And boat to Disney Springs, boat to other places. So
yeah, that's another factor as well. And then this will be going up against the 3 seed in this region, Yacht/Beach Club. So we've got this sort of dual hotel thing going on, this 2 versus 2 matchup here.
Everyone calls it Yacht and Beach Club. Like I think we're on the side of angels with this one.
Yeah, so yacht and beach. I will say I've stayed at beach. I've not stayed at yacht, and like Saratoga, it's near the bottom of my list as far as the stay experience. But again, has all of those conveniences that we talked about with Boardwalk. You're still in that resort area, and if now that we're including Yacht Club, Ale and Compass is one of my favorite restaurants on property.
I've heard really great things about that. When we talked about the bread at Sanaa, I've heard amazing things about the bread or the rolls or whatever they are at. You made a face. I don't know if it was a good face or a bad face.
It was in response to a comment, not you. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I was like, I'm talking about bread, Mac. This is
yeah. You're not going wrong with bread for sure. You got me there. No, I had to bring up Doobie's comment here. Number one is no chance here. Yacht and Beach is better than Boardwalk, which I won't argue. I mean, I totally get it. Yacht and Beach Club are fantastic, but also has full access to the Boardwalk area as opposed to Boardwalk not having.
I think he's saying it also has okay. I think he's just saying like it's better and it still has access to all the same stuff on the other side.
Got it. Okay.
But
I would disagree that it's better, but I mean, I get it. Beaches and Cream is another argument for it. We see Gideon loves Beaches and Cream. I've actually never eaten there. Have you gotten a chance to go to Beaches and Cream?
Nope. So Doobie's going to hate my bracket, and I can't say I disagree with him necessarily. Might not have thought it all the way through. We'll see.
Yeah, I will say the pool area for both yacht and beach is just really, really awesome. I did not get to take advantage of that because my stay was in November and it was just too cold to use the pool. So, but that is a nice feature. And then again, you're so close to Epcot. So this is going to be a really tough matchup between Yacht and Beach against Port Orleans, I think.
Yeah, apparently everyone hates us. So this is fun.
Well, Gideon is disappointed with me for not having eaten at Beaches and Cream, which believe me, I want to change that. It's in my plans. It was closed. Beaches and Cream was closed when I stayed at Beach Club, so I didn't have the option.
Yeah.
So yeah, here's our full region here. I mean, I don't think there's too much we need to break down here. I know both of us absolutely love Boardwalk.
Yeah. So I guess we should show let the real fun begin and show our own brackets and see how this goes.
So our first off, the full bracket here. Here's a look at everything we just broke down. You got these 16, well, really 17 because we have the play in between the two All-Stars. Some might make an argument for 19 if you're counting Yacht Beach and Port Orleans as 2, whatever. But yeah,
this is the Sweet 19.
Exactly, the Sweet 19, the nice 19. This is what we've got here. Committee let personal feelings get into it. Yes, the selection committee made some tough decisions for sure. But yeah,
what would we replace? Like, I feel like, when we get to our brackets, it's personal, but I feel like the 16 selected to participate is solid.
Right. And the seeding could be a little bit different is the only argument.
Yeah. And like, whatever. I don't think
West is like the only one that was left out. So
I'm going out on a limb and expecting that most people don't even realize what this means, that first and fourth seed, they're probably just going to be like, oh, these two just ended up together.
Right. Yeah, that's a fair point. And yes, Rebecca, I'm aware Beaches and Cream reservations. Yeah, it's on my list. There's so many restaurants. There's too many to try them all. But yeah, I'll get out there eventually. All right, so let's get into the real controversial part here, and let's show off our brackets. Now, this isn't necessarily what we think is going to win. This is what we would personally pick, right? Or at least that's how I handled it. I don't know if that's what
I had a mix.
Okay. All right. So here is a look at my bracket, and I'll kind of zoom in and move around for you to get a better look at it here. But so here's the Magic Kingdom. Oh, that doesn't work. The Magic Kingdom region. I went with Polynesian over Contemporary, Wilderness Lodge over Grand Flow, and Wilderness Lodge goes to the Final Four. Again, I'm literally wearing a Wilderness Lodge T-shirt right now. I don't know if you can see that, but it's so good. It's such a great resort. Down at Animal Kingdom Lodge, more chalk, really. Animal Kingdom Lodge winning that region. I mean, it's the name of it. I do really like Coronado. I like Grandistino Tower a lot, but getting the Savannah view is just so good. And then Sorry, this doesn't scroll as well as I'd hoped.
It's okay. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there you go. So Hollywood Studios region, I got more chalk here. Riviera takes that region. Art of Animation over Caribbean Beach, but I think that's a really close matchup. And then down here, no surprise, Boardwalk winning the Epcot one. Again, Port Orleans over Yachting Beach, but so close. And even looking at that right now, I'm all I'm thinking is I love Ale and Compass so much that I might give that. I might end up giving that the edge.
I mean, our chat made some really compelling points, so yeah. I'm feeling bad about mine, but.
And then final four: Wilderness Lodge over Animal Kingdom Lodge, Boardwalk over Riviera, and Wilderness Lodge taking it all. That's a 3 seed. That's a 3 seed winning it all. So that's a little bit of a sleeper there, I guess.
Sure.
Let me see some of the thoughts on my bracket here. There you go. Doobie, that if you wanted to say that about my actual March Madness bracket, that's after the first weekend. That's typically what I'm saying as well. But for this one, I feel pretty good about it.
I also enjoy this one. Must have had a bad connection.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten to stay at Riverside. I really want to, but I think that might change things if I actually did stay there. We would see. But
I think what Doobie is trying to say, he's gonna petition our CEO to make sure that we all get to stay at all these different places so that we can do this properly.
Hey, you know what? I'm not opposed to that. Let's start planning the next LP round of trips. And yes, Grand Flow doesn't get out of the first round because it went up against Wilderness. It went up against the hotel that I picked to win it all. So at least, take some solace in that it lost to the eventual champion. I will say it's actually still probably only the third in that region for me. I think I'd still take Polynesian over Grand Flow. But all right, are you ready for oh, hang on, one more comment on mine before we move on to yours here. Left side good, right side bad. All right, okay. Well, we'll see how people actually. I think again, this is my personal picks. I think the voting is going to be very different. I think we're going to see some really interesting results. Yeah. But let's go over to Kyle's bracket, and that is.
All right. Yeah. So Polynesian over Contemporary. This was a hard one for me. This was the one where I'm thinking that this is more how the voting will go than what I necessarily think. I think there's a lot of love for Polynesian. I think it might have softened a little bit, like after they did their refurbishment a few years ago and now at the Moana. I think the love might be softening a little bit, but I think it's still too strong. I think people are going to go more with that theming than they are with the convenience of Contemporary, which is what I might personally gravitate towards. So Poly winning that. Grand Flow versus Wilderness. I think Mac just got me drunk after looking at his board, and I was like, oh, well, I guess Wilderness is going to win. So I think I went with that. I think in hindsight, maybe Grand Flow makes the more sense there. Further down, Animal Kingdom Lodge, as we discussed, I think is a shoe-in. Went with Coronado over All-Star. I don't know. It's a tough call. But I think, I think you either love or hate the All-Stars. And so I'm counting on people to hate them.
That's fair.
Up at Hollywood Studios, I went with Riviera over Pop. Again, just I think the newness could be a hindrance, but I think it'll help in this case. Art of Animation, I think, is a strong contender, as we'll get to, obviously. Boardwalk, had to go with Boardwalk over Saratoga, even though I like Saratoga as well. And I also went for Port Orleans over Yachting Beach, which I apparently is very, very wrong. I think if Yachting Beach does make it out of Port Orleans and goes against Boardwalk, then I think that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think there's been some really good arguments, but I still think in terms of what people are going to be going for, I think Port Orleans, I think people like Port Orleans a lot. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not even looking at the comments yet, so that'll be fun. Polynesian versus Wilderness Lodge. This is where we diverge. I think the Polynesian cleans that up pretty easily. And then, of course, Animal Kingdom versus Coronado. I think Animal Kingdom has to take that. Art of Animation, I think, continues its march onward after escaping whatever it's again. Riviera, yeah, I think that one's tough. They're so different. And I think they're actually still like two of the newer resorts, so it's not that crazy. But yeah, I think Art of Animation can pull through there. And then Boardwalk versus Port Orleans. This is where I think Port Orleans probably, this is where my bracket comes in. I think Port Orleans could probably take that too, potentially. So then, yeah, final four, I think Poly would beat Animal Kingdom Lodge. And Art of Animation versus Boardwalk. Again, this is where I putting in my own bias and going with Boardwalk, and that's why I put Boardwalk at the top. And I do think that this announced refurbishment and kind of injection and focus could put a light on it and make people think differently. I think adding the Skyliner there, I know it's a little different because it's technically the Epcot stop and not Boardwalks, but it's close.
Yeah.
And, they just redid the International Gateway. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing personally, but, I think all of that has put more of a spotlight on Boardwalk in the past couple of years. And I think that could be an advantage.
Yeah, I'm from the response that we've gotten, I don't think Wilderness or Boardwalk are going to win it now. But those, make sense being our personal choices. And everybody is going to have their own different experience with no matter what hotel you stay at. You might, pay a crazy amount of money and stay at Grand Floridian, and one thing goes wrong and it ruins your entire experience with it. Or you might, get the cheapest room at All Star Sports and everything is perfect and you have this magical experience and all of a sudden that's the best hotel to you. So it's so hard to judge what people are going to actually vote for. Sorry, we got to point out some of the comments on your bracket here.
Well, I take solace in knowing that I'm pretty sure that he thinks Ratatouille is better than Rise of the Resistance. So I'm like, okay, well, then I must be doing something right if he's against it. I'm
also
taking shots at 13-year-olds. That's right.
I will defend myself. Doobie is shocked to see Art of Animation win a bracket. I think that bracket, if you put that in Magic Kingdom and it came out of that region, okay, I could see you saying that's crazy. But I think the Hollywood Studios region, you kind of have that theme for the most part. The Caribbean Beach, Art of Animation, Pop Century kind of share that same sort of vibe. So it's just a matter of, do you think people are going to vote for that or go for the upscale Riviera? So I could totally see Art of Animation winning that region.
Yeah, I think, like we were talking about, grading on a rubric. I think when you compare the price with what you're getting and the experience, that Art of Animation ranks pretty highly.
And Rebecca says pool plays very highly into her choices. So,
and that's something that I have zero experience with. So.
So yeah, that's another factor, another plus for Art of Animation there. So yeah, that is our final. Oh, hang on, let me try and get the blank bracket here. We will have this up, and we'll get our tournament started pretty soon. We're gonna have the poll up for the All-Star play-in game as soon as we are done here, and you'll get a chance to vote on which hotel takes that final spot. And then our tournament will begin this week, and we start to crown the best Walt Disney World Resort hotel.
When do we start that? When did the game start?
Thursday. So
okay, so we'll probably start it on Thursday then.
Yeah. So you'll see. We'll have just follow laughing_place on Twitter, and you'll see the polls go up for this tournament. I'm really curious. Before we wrap things up, I comments out there. What do you guys think? Which hotel ends up winning it all? Because obviously there's some strong feelings out there.
We're gonna have to send this template to the rest of the LP team and get their brackets and have those in the can for as we do this, so we can make fun of each other.
Yeah, that's like 75% of what we do here at Laughing Place is just make fun of each other's opinions. So, but yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. I want to give it another second just to see if anybody drops in a comment for what wins it all. Thank you, Dewey. Our on-screen talent makes up for our hotel taste.
That's what we count on.
Oh, here we go. I think Wilderness Lodge is going to be a bracket buster for Mac. We'll see. I could see. That's a tough first round matchup. Grand Floridian against Wilderness Lodge is a really tough matchup.
Evil Queen likes. I assume that's French Quarter, Port Orleans.
I can't think of anything else FQ would stand for. So yeah, probably French Quarter. Which again, I love French Quarter, favorite quick service restaurant. So this is a good choice too, because and this is kind of how I play my March Madness brackets sometimes. Is I pick a team with an easy first or second round matchup to win it all, because I know I won't be disappointed after the first weekend. And I think Animal Kingdom Lodge easily gets out of that Animal Kingdom region.
It is the only one that has the name of the park in the resort name, right?
Yeah, right.
Prove
yes.
me wrong.
No, yeah. I mean, you're forgetting Disney's Coronado Park, but yeah, aside from that. All right, I think we've gone through enough nonsense at this point. So again, follow Laughing Place on Twitter, laughing_place. You'll find the polls for this tournament, and keep an eye out for, we'll break down each matchup as we go through it as well. You'll see it on laughingplace.com. So are you forgetting Epcot Villas, says Doobie. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Forgot the Tomorrowland Villas or Cabanas.
Oh, wow. Yeah, let's not bring that up. Start a whole different conversation. But yeah, so thank you, everyone, for watching, and hope you enjoy our 8th annual Mouse Madness. Bye, everyone.